Hello brains! I've been wanting to tackle depression for a while now because it's really common with ADHD, but something happened that made us need to talk about it now. This is going to be a pretty heavy video, so if you're not in a place where you want to watch this right now, totally fine, I understand. Watch this video of a calming glitter bottle instead. We also have a self-care checklist you can run through if you're needing a little self-care. What happened that inspired this video happened to someone Edward knew personally, and he also has a lot of experience with these topics, so he agreed to be the one to talk with you about it. So I'm gonna let him talk.
Hi. You probably know me from things like this helicopter, or running through this convention. I'm gonna talk to you about something a little more serious. Matt Pat from Game Theory released a video called Losing the Battle. You can watch that video here if you'd like to. In it, he talked about his editor, Ronnie Edwards, who committed suicide on July 4th of this year. Whether you know his name or not, if you know Game Theory, you know Ronnie's work. Ronnie was one of their first editors. Those distinctive illustrated characters you've seen in countless videos, those are Ronnie's. I knew Ronnie. I used to edit for the Game Theorists. I led their editing team for a while. This footage here is actually Ronnie and Dan Seibert and I getting a streamy for our editing. He was actually the most enthusiastic of everybody there, unabashedly just posing with that streamy. They had a photographer there after you give your speech, and you're supposed to stand there and you take a couple of pictures and then you move on. And Ronnie's like, no, give me another. He was a fun person. He had a very dry sense of humor. And then he killed himself. When somebody kills themselves, I think everybody kind of feels a sense of like, what could I have done? What should I have done? I've been there. I've been in a place like where I think Ronnie probably was. And there's a aspect of this that I feel like I should have seen it better, or I should have reached out to him more. We were supposed to like play some games and stuff, and it just didn't happen because, you always think there's going to be time. There's not always time. So I'm left with a lot of things I would have wanted to tell him had I realized what was going on, but I can't now. So I thought, I don't want to miss this opportunity again. I'm going to tell you. If you're struggling with any kind of depression right now, I can't give you advice, but I can tell you what my experience was. People associate depression and sadness a lot. And it's not really like that at all. When you're in a depression, when you're in a deep depression, your life is the same as it was before, except it doesn't touch you the way it did before. You don't feel happy about it, if that makes sense. You don't feel anything. You feel kind of, for me at least, I felt like a robot walking around with the memory of feelings. You know that you had them, and you know that they were a really important part of your life, but you can't find where they are anymore. Depression is a lot more like nothing. It's a nothing. It is the heaviest nothing. You will be amazed at how much nothing weighs when you have to carry it every single day. Everything feels empty. It feels like the nothing that is in me is in everything else too. I did think about suicide. It seemed very reasonable at the time. Everything just seemed like a hardship. There was no joy. Imagine trying to eat your favorite food and you can't taste it. How long would you keep eating it? And it's painful in as much as you can feel pain because you know it should be better than it is right now. It's frustrating. And so you ask yourself, like, why do I want to keep doing this? What's the point? I don't know what Ronnie's situation was. I don't know why he made the decision he did. But for me, I think the reason why I didn't go down the path that Ronnie did, I had really important people in my life, people that kind of held me to earth, if that makes sense. I knew if I stopped trying, that would take a huge toll on them. We can't hurt ourselves without hurting somebody else too. We're all connected. It would be so much easier if we weren't sometimes, I'm sure. But we are. And if I had hurt myself, I would have hurt people in my life. I would have hurt somebody I hadn't even met yet. Everybody wants to give you advice. Oh, if you just do this. Oh, if you just do that. Just get out there and try. You can't talk someone out of a depression. I have to want to try. I want to try, but I don't. when you're in a depression, it can be very hard to explain it because maybe it's the only time this has happened to you and you don't know anybody else who's gone through this. And not only do you already feel like you're failing at life, but you don't even have the words to explain why. Here are some words that I learned. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to let it spill a little bit and share what you're going through with someone else. And it's also okay to say, I feel this way and I don't know how to fix it. And I don't know what to do about it. And it's okay to know what to do and just not be ready to do it. The only thing I would say, if you get to that place where you're starting to think, why am I doing this at all? It would be so much easier if I didn't. Just explore all your options. There's a lot of things that can happen that can help. And if you do decide to get help, the end result will be you don't feel the way you do now. Now, maybe you don't know what your options are. If that's the case, Jess has put together a list of strategies you can try. These are not from a textbook. These are from brains in our community, either ones who have struggled or are struggling still with the same things that you are. Not all of it will work, but some of it might. Just explore all your options.
If anything Edward talked about sounded familiar to you, these crisis numbers aren't just for depression. Whatever you're going through, it's okay to call. If you, like me, care about somebody who's dealing with these issues, we made a separate video about how you can help. To our brain board and all our Patreon brains, thank you for making it possible for us to address difficult, important topics like this without having to worry about whether the video will be demonetized. We'll talk more about this topic in the future. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Stick around, and I will see you next week. Bye, brains.
There's nothing to do right now but try. There are 100 people who will listen to you cry. And I get that they don't get it, but they love you so much that you won't regret it.